Deck about 10 feet away, gazing out at the ocean. Her pale blonde hair fluttered in the breeze, rising and falling across her naked back. She wore a thong, much like MJ's, except in black. For a few moments, I just sat there admiring the perfection of her form. Long legs, tight butt, face like a cover model. She finally noticed me staring at her and smiled quickly before looking out again. Rocky cliffs rose around the little beach and extended out into the water, shielding most of the swells of the ocean. A few towers of rock rose in the surf further out. The sky was mostly clear, except far out to sea where dark clouds hovered on the horizon. They'd been there for a while. Through the glass wall Katerina was leaning on, I saw Haley down in the surf, walking through the water as it rolled gently up the sand and flowed back. Her dark red hair was wet from the ocean. She saw me watching her and turned toward the house, coming up the stairs from the sand a few moments later. The beach was completely empty, so she was topless like MJ and Katerina, wearing only a shimmering green G-string. When she reached the top of the stairs, she stepped into the little lap pool off to the left to rinse off the salt water. I watched her squeezing her hair dry, loving what it did to her breasts. I still missed what she used to look like, but less and less as the days went by. She resembled a shorter, slimmer Katerina now, with perfect teardrop boobs that just filled up my hands. As Haley stepped out of the pool, there was a muffled whimper behind me as Morrigan orgasmed again. I turned to look where she was suspended from a beam in the overhead at the edge of the house. Purple silk cords crisscrossed her body in a tight web, binding her ankles, wrists, and elbows together, lifting and squeezing her big breasts. One cord ran from her gorgeous purple-violet hair to the ring in her anal hook, then to a slip knot around her neck, then to her toes. It was just slack enough to allow her to breathe, but tight enough that she could choke herself if she wanted to, as she'd been doing with every orgasm. A little orb of pink silicone protruded from between her legs, and a black mask covered her eyes. Haley walked over to her. She took the chain connecting Morrigan's nipple clamps and tugged on it, making my purple-haired slave girl swing slowly and rotate in her restraints. "How long are you going to keep her like this?" Haley asked. "It's only been a couple of hours," I replied. "What do you say, kitten? Want to come down?" Morrigan shook her head and answered as best she could around the thick penis gag in her mouth. "Mm-mm." I reached over and took the little remote for Morrigan's vibrator back from MJ, who had been playing with it for the last half hour. It was one of those combination G-spot stimulator / clit sucker things. I'd had Morrigan on the lowest setting at first, but I realized when I picked it up that MJ had turned it up to the tornado setting, which explained why Morrigan had been orgasming every few minutes. I turned it back down. Morrigan moaned briefly in protest. "You'll run the battery down," I said to MJ. She laughed softly. "No, it won't." Haley sat at the end of the sunbed in front of me and MJ. She reached out and played with MJ's hair, as I continued playing with MJ's butt. MJ said. Katerina came back from the wall and lay down on the other side of MJ. She began trailing her fingers up and down MJ's back, smiling at me. MJ squirmed, lifting a calf and twitching her foot. "You guys are ganging up on me." I smacked her ass, making her laugh and roll over. She straightened out her hair behind her, off the end of the sunbed, as Katerina started playing with her dark brown nipples. I left them together and slid forward onto the deck, walking over to the wall. Haley got up and came with me, leaning against the glass beside me. I looked out across the ocean again, toward the storm clouds in the distance. Haley followed my gaze, then leaned her head against my shoulder. Her damp hair gave me a momentary chill. "I love you," she said. I put an arm around her. "If I could bind you to me forever like I did with Katerina, I would." "That's sweet." She laughed softly. "I think." "I mean it." "I know you do." Then she sighed. "It's still there." "Yeah, but we're here." "I love this place. What made you think of coming here?" "It's been cold." I heard Morrigan whimpering in frustration behind us. I was feeling generous, so I turned the vibrator back up. I was rewarded with a sigh of relief and a noise that sounded like her trying to thank me around her gag. Haley nuzzled me. "It's starting to feel like we're bound already," she said. She was right. Between our